Libra, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for September 5th through the 11th, 2016. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different. All right, so Libra, this week we have a sort of split week. The first half has the collectively easy aspects, as you can see here, particularly Tuesday and Wednesday, when we have the Sun trining Pluto, Venus sextiling up to Saturn. We'll also be in the early phase of the lunar cycle, which is usually quite supportive as well. And that's where we're moving things forward. Lunar cycle is a solar eclipse cycle because last week we had a solar eclipse in this 11th house of yours. So things are certainly moving forward this week with your aspirations. Maybe some new things there, some new beginnings, some new insights about your hopes and wishes and potentials, future-oriented things. Now, on another level, it could be some of you are starting something new with groups or networks or friends or your community in some sense. And even further, some of you may be technologically or progressive things. So that's the transformational new beginning from last week and certainly moving forward as the week unfolds here. Now, the weekend has the collectively challenging aspects, particularly emphasizing Saturn squaring up to Neptune, which has been going on since November. This is the last and final aspect with this, so it's really nothing new. But this has been that uncertainty that I've been talking a lot about this year. This uncertainty when we try to figure things out in terms of where we're headed, what we're building in our lives, which is that Saturn energy. So we'll talk more about that here in just a couple minutes. So let's go ahead and look at how this week unfolds. So yeah, continuing with these new beginnings, a lot of emphasis here on your aspirations is a really good way of working with this week. Here, Tuesday and Wednesday, the Sun trining up to Pluto suggests good power to make change with this future-oriented, community-oriented part of your chart. And this is a lot of power that's been changing from the deep changes that have been occurring with your mind and your communications and your immediate environment, which has been Pluto transforming your third house for many years now. So it could be great where you have that non-attachment, willingness to make change when it comes to those aspirations, and that could be a positive force for you this early part of the week. Now, Venus, your ruler, is in the 12th house, so it is a bit of a lowering energy time. And the ruler is in the 12th, putting a strong emphasis here on getting that alone time. Maybe, meditating, getting that retreating, understanding more about yourself spiritually and psychologically, getting in contact with yourself spiritually and psychologically in the sense of seeing if you have any fears or inhibitions or traumas in your life that you can now accept and be aware of. This is the spiritual house and really comes to acceptance. So this is acceptance of self, acceptance of these things, these deeper aspects of the self, the spiritual self, and also acceptance for how things are in the external environment, right, in our overall life. And so as you accept, that's the transformation, that's the spiritual process of the 12th house, of giving you more peace, more tranquility, and more spiritual connection. So still lowering time, even though there's these new aspirations certainly shaping up, and you can be gaining energy through them. It is good to find that time to connect, to be in that presence. And there should be plenty of opportunities with this because Jupiter has been recently entering that 12th house. So over the next year and a half, roughly, there should be plenty of opportunities to get in contact with that spiritual dimension of life. All right, so with that being said, your ruler is sextiling up to Saturn this early part of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, which means you guys could be feeling perhaps quite constructive, productive, maybe. Constructive, maybe particularly to move things forward in this more easygoing way, where there's more presence and stuff in your everyday experiences. So it's just an opening for that. Sextiles are just opportunities, but you do have the support of Saturn helping you there to really ground it and make it constructive. So that's the early part, and then as we go into the weekend, the exact Saturn square Neptune will be on Saturday. And this is the Saturn that's recently shifted into your second house, helping you get disciplined with your finances, with your outer resources, and also with your inner resources. Your sense of self-worth, your confidence, your self-esteem in the sense that you feel like you're capable and able to attain your values in life, right? Those inner resources and becoming more self-reliant. But with Saturn, it takes time. It takes this getting the results, this patience, this persistence, and sometimes seeming like there's a limitation when it comes to these inner and outer resources. So the key with this, as it always is with Saturn, is to limit yourself, to have the discipline yourself, to save, for example, to get in contact with your natural gifts, your natural abilities through hard work, through getting results. And so with that patient approach and persistent approach, things are certainly being built in the long term. And this is a good area for you to challenge yourself this week. Now, with that building, though, there is uncertainty about things, and that's the square to Neptune. And this might be about your self-expression, about the things you enjoy, about those things close to the heart. So this is saying that, especially with the South Node, there's some old patterns. There's some old yearnings, some old things that you might want or feel like is missing in your life, or that you need more of, relating to your self-expression or relating to your creations in life. And so if you're feeling that, bringing the extra attention to them, accepting them, and that's the spiritual process of releasing these older patterns, and also too, grounding yourself, because there might be a lot of ideals and imagination having to do with the things you're creating or the way you're expressing yourself. So as you detach, as you surrender, as you accept, just like that 12th house, you accept, then it'll naturally put you into a state of where you can, in presence, build things one step at a time with acceptance, without projecting into the future, because it's when we project into the future, things get confusing, things get doubtful, and it muddles things. All right, so it's presence, building things constructively with particularly the financial inner and outer resources, as well as letting go of any old patterns relating to your self-expression. And the area this is all pointing towards is, again, with the North Node, with the solar eclipse cycle, pulling you towards your aspirations, pulling you towards maybe getting in contact with progressive things, or your networks, or your groups in life, your community. And that's the simplest way of looking at this. As you put in the patience and persistence there with those aspirations, and you let go of these old patterns, you're going to have more of that support, constructive support, to move towards this life path, which is very powerfully changing for all of us, and for you, very much regarding that 11th house. All right, so that's the weekend, really emphasizing Saturn square Neptune. Will also be in the first quarter phase of the solar eclipse cycle, suggesting a good time to challenge ourselves. Venus will be squaring up to Pluto, so your ruler squaring Pluto, it's good to be nice and balanced over the weekend. There might be some deep things coming to the forefront, or sort of testing you, so to speak, to see how we're reacting to them. So it's important to be, again, especially with your ruler in the 12th house, present, accepting, see if there's any reactions, any old patterns, any old emotional patterns that are recurring and repeating in your life that you can break free from. And it's not pushing them away as much as it's, again, being aware of them, accepting them, and working with them. And so in that way, it does become very powerful. It could be a very powerful weekend where you're making change constructively towards your own spiritual development, towards your own identity, and that sort of thing. So along with that, Mercury, I do want to mention, is going back into your 11th house retrograde. So there is this re-examining taking place about what it means to have peace and tranquility this week with Mercury in your 12th and who rules your 12th. But by the weekend, you'll notice maybe it's time to reflect and remodify and reconsider some of these aspirations, right? Some of these community things, if it's on that more social level for you, or progressive things. All right, so it's good to be adaptive, and that's really the name of the game anyways with the North Node. It's all about learning. We're never actually there. There's no end point here with these aspirations right now. It's just about learning more about them, and really just implementing them just a little bit, really goes a long ways. And wanting to learn about them really lightens that up. All right, so that's the week in a nutshell. Definitely still the solar eclipse cycle, very powerful month here in September. all pulling you towards that 11th house. Yet it's a spiritual time, or can be. It's a good time to connect there to your beingness, and it's uplifted with Jupiter. Good time to limit yourself. Be patient with the resources in your life and move things forward there one step at a time while remaining present and accepting and releasing these old patterns that may be or have been in the past recurring, that have to do with you, have to do with your self-expression and the things you enjoy. Because what is cultivating here is the other-oriented perspective, how you can be a part of something larger than yourself. And so it does require that releasing of those old self-interest or self-expressive energies with the South Node. All right, so Libra, hope you guys have a fantastic week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next week.